Today let's take a look at how well does my Luard deck profile works, which I have showcased in my previous video, and I'll be testing it against the Pure Hari here, which we do see him riding into the Magyar here, which is actually the perfect ride for Hari, and we do see him running the Betty as well, but misses the search. And I'll be going second in this game, and I ride into the Blue Esper Dragon here, getting the quick shield to hand, and using the skill to mill the top 3, and I do hit the Morin Spear, getting 1 to hand. So very blessed for me, and I do actually miss great for grade 2, and having the Morin Spear in hand does help. So I do swing the Vanguard, try checking into a brand 1 here. So what I should have done actually is to actually be aggressive, which is what the deck intends to do. So I should have caught the second Blue Esper Dragon in my hand. And we do see him riding to the second Magyar here, which yet again is a perfect ride for them, and missing the search with the Betty, very unfortunate for him. And he does swing the Vanguard with a 9k power, which is a 15k will be a no pass, and there's no trigger here, and I do eat to a damage trigger, which is irrelevant. I do right into the Morin Spear here, using its skill immediately. Most likely of discarding a great 1 to fill up the drop zone, which is what the deck intends to do. But however, I would say, spoiler alert, in this game, going first does matter. Especially against a Pure Hari deck where their Pop Dragon does really pop off. No pun intended, but it really does show where standards it is right now. Basically, if you go first, the advantage you do have is actually quite large. And you do see me committing to the brand 1 here and missing a search, and I'll be committing the second brand 1 here to force an aggressive turn 2. And I do hit a lot here. So another misplay I'd like to point out is that I do actually have a lot in hand, and I actually have discarded the Luard into the drop zone instead of keeping a second Luard in my hand. So in my head I was thinking I was going for a greedy play, which is I'm going to ride for a second time, but unfortunately when I'm going second, I don't have the luxury at all. So he does eat to a damage trigger here, and I'm able to push for damage once again because of how brand 1 is already hitting for a 13k boost. So he does right into the Hari here, going for the XL1. And using the Betty skill once again, actually hits the Magyar this time. And he does run the Brazil Bunny here, a very interesting tag. And he does discard the Hari here and soul charge too. He's soul charging actually one of the Magyar, but he really ridden it before, so it doesn't really matter. So as you can see, he's using a skill here to superior core 2 Magyar because I'm already on grade 2, and the superior core Magyar will have a bonus of 5k power. So sorry for the adjustment here, I'll be doing a slight video adjustment here because the angle is a bit awkward, I would say. He does move out the Brazil Bunny here, and it's going to be aggressive on his turn. Most likely he will have the pigeon here to actually go for the Hari Pop. Yep, so he does have it and putting it to the stage. So he's swing his Brazil Bunny at my brand 1, and he goes to the drop zone. So one thing to point out, as awkward, or rather as ironic as he may sound, you do want to clear the board of Luard, because Luard currently have a problem of filling up the board with grade 1s. So if your deck does have a heavy retire mechanic, you do want to retire all their grade 1s before their Luard turn, because the Luard player does want to use the X skill of the Drag Hard Luard to actually cycle into the deck. Basically the draw 1, it might seem very underwhelming, but it is actually very needed for them actually. So I do guard for a 2-pass here against the Hari, Twin Drive into a blank, which is very lucky for me because any trigger check here will be very painful for me and pushing me to a potential 4 damage. As you can see, going first here does push the opponent slightly harder, and it's finally my turn. So as you can see, going turn 3, I do already have 5 grade 1 in the drop zone, but I might say that I do break a little. My hand is actually currently filled with quite a number of triggers, and it doesn't help. So I do call the Dark Pride Dragon here, milling, luckily I do mill a Charon here, and I'm able to draw 1. But it does plus 5k regardless, and I do use the Drag Hard skill here to immediately go for the superior ride. So one thing to point out is that actually in my hand, I do have enough grade 1 counts to actually go for the Mofasa push turn, but I have chosen to actually farm against the Hari. So I would say it's a very major misplay here because especially the fact that I'm going second, and his Harry Pop Dragon will only grow bigger. The mentality I had in that point of time was to farm the 2 extra cards to hand, which I'll be superior calling 2 Abyssal Hour here. Sorry for the prompt up misplay. Prompt up play, I would say. Yes, so actually I do go for the 2 Bella Hour here. Sorry, Abyssal Hour here, which is a wrong move in my opinion. I should have went for the Mofasa as I did in the first action, because you do want to push the damage here, and Hari at this point of time only had 6 hand, and it's already at 3 damage, so I should keep up the aggressive tempo. But I do went for the Abyssal Hour play here instead, which allows me to draw 2 cards, and it does feels good, but it doesn't push the game, and the point of this game is actually to push opponent to 6 damage. So I would say it's a misplay here, but as you can see, the Clara engine does help to fill the drop zone, but honestly speaking, I do prefer the Matcha and Leia 4 lineup, which actually has been showcased in the VGCS 08 by Can You Say G, sorry. And in the finals of the top 2, we do see 2 pure Luards playing similar lists, I would say, going for the Leia 4 and the Matcha engine, which does help to fill out the board, which I have mentioned previously in the video. The Luard players actually do want the Grey One on the field, so they can actually use it to cycle with the Drag Hunt later. So as you can see, he does try into a second Hari here, producing 1 more marker, which does help to push for more power for the Pop Dragon. He does use a Harry skill here to discard 1, and super calling the armies of Vanguard. So he does superior call 3 only. So actually 4 Magiados has been superior called, and all of them will be getting a 5k buff. And all the shenanigans will happen, basically a counter charge 1, a draw 1, a soul charge 1 of my units in, and giving Hari and herself a plus 10k power. So removing my intercept here, which is a good move. And he does call the pigeon there, and so charging the Magiador in the drop zone. So he does swing with the side first to try to push me to 4 damage, and then swing with the Vanguard there because he does play 8 criticals. So a heads up play by him, and it does force your opponent to guard early, which I'm basically forced to do. And especially when he does have the Harry Pop Dragon to actually pressure me further with the 2 criticals. And I do throw the 10k guard here, and he does swing the Vanguard first, though he does rewind the move. Most likely he'll be swinging with the side first, yes, correct, which is to push me to 4 damage. And this will be hitting for 37k power column, and that's asking for 25k guard heads up without me able to actually eat any damage trigger to lighten the guard. So as you can see, my hand is getting, I would say, pressured, especially without the Nemains package now. Luard hand isn't exactly very great anymore, as you are actually forced to actually hardcore most of your units. As you can see, I'm thinking quite hard how do I guard it, because I do have to factor in the Pop Dragons, which will be hitting for actually a great power of 60k, which will be asking for a 50k guard already. So, and I am not able to no guard that, and I might have to risk a no guard at the Vanguard. So actually there's so much to think about, and this is the problem when I do not pressure him in the previous turn. As I mentioned just now, I should have actually used the Mofasa. I should have basically pushed for the Mofasa turn, forcing him to drop all his pieces in his hand and potentially ended the game there. But because of my, I would say, defensive playstyle nature, I do actually go for the 2 Abyssal Hour, which actually just draw 2 cards. And in the 2 cards that I drawn, I only drawn a total of 15k shield, which is very, very bad. And he does swing the pigeon here to push me to 4 damage, and I'm not able to actually guard further. So he does call the Pop Dragon here, which will be gaining yet another XL1 marker, pushing it to 4 XL1 markers, and will be hitting for 60k power. And looking at my hand, I'm only at 5 hand size. So I'm hoping for a damage trigger here, most likely a heal. or a 6 damage shield to actually potentially shift the game in my favor. So at this point of time, I do have exact 50k shield to guard against the Pop Dragon, but he does Dry Track into a heal trigger here, giving the power to the Pop Dragon, and no critical by him, which pushes me to 5, but because he now asks for 60k guard and I'm not able to afford it, and it's game over. Thank you for watching till the end of the video, and do drop a like and comment if you do enjoy the content, and do consider subscribing.